checks, catfish are gonna make them cheer. Got the block turned to German riding high. Now it's time for action, tonight's gonna burn this bar right up. Slap shot will light the lamp so nice. Let's go for a breakaway on the chase to raise the cup. We'll be standing on our heads till we need them at center ice. Hockey is back, Jack. Hockey is back, Jack. Hockey is back, Jack, baby, and we'll meet you at center ice.
Oh, it's over. It's so just when we thought it was back, it's over. The Florida Panthers season ends last night with an exclamation point. How many goals did we score last night? Eight.
Yeah.
All right, that's how you play hockey.
A good old Yeller game for the Cats, huh?
Second period, it was 2-0, and I looked back up, and it was 5-1.
How about for the third consecutive year, the Panthers win their final game? I mean, let's give it up. That's hard to do. 3 straight years.
I have to correct you, Zaz. While the Panthers are no longer playing, there's plenty of things still in the balance for this season for the Florida Panthers.
Okay, like the way that I see it now, okay, so they're currently in the eighth position as far as the draft lottery goes. They have to finish 1 through 10 to keep their pick. So can they move down at all based on tonight's final regular season day's action?
Well, right now, first and foremost, we should all be rooting for St. Louis and San Jose. Okay. If they win, the Florida Panthers can climb all the way up to number 8 in the draft lottery odds.
Okay.
If the two teams,
otherwise, they would finish 10th, you're saying?
Yeah. If the two teams get 1 point, they'll be number 9.
Okay.
If neither gets a point, number 10.
Okay, and things get a little bit dangerous if they finish 9 or 10 because you can be jumped by 2 teams in the NHL draft lottery, right? I believe they select number 1 and number 2 in the draft lottery, where in the NBA they select 3 teams. Does that sound right? And in the NHL they do 2.
I just started following hockey 3 seasons ago.
Okay, so that's, if they finish 8th, you're out of the danger zone where they keep their pick.
We got to root for some kind of middling teams. Some good players on the Blues and Sharks, but certainly not a given. But things get a little weird on the last day of the regular season. There's also another sneaky thing that hockey fans in general need to be rooting for. You got to be rooting for the Kings, Ducks, and Canucks tonight.
Why?
Because if those teams win, guess what we get in the first round?
What we get?
What?
What do you say?
What happened?
What do we get?
What do we get?
Come again? We get
There we go.
the Edmonton Oilers versus the Colorado Avalanche in the first round. Now, I'm going to be watching these hockey playoffs, as I often do. Hockey playoffs are the best playoffs, and I maintain that even though my team is not in it.
Can I just say
love
real quick,
postseason.
put a pin in that for 1 second. I'm still offended. that last week, Dan, I don't know why he did this.
He said that you wouldn't be watching the hockey playoffs.
Like, he pointed at me, and because the Panthers are not in the playoffs, he goes, I know Zaz. He was being serious.
Yeah.
I know Zaz is not going to be watching because the Panthers are not in. Like, why would he
All the things
think
said
that?
about you in recent weeks, that has really stuck with you.
Yeah, that's right. Because
It
that's
should.
clearly false.
Yeah, it's objective
Falsehoods.
Yeah. By the way, nice shirt, asshole. I hate it. But I love the NHL postseason, and I do have a rooting interest in this postseason, and that is rooting against the Carolina Hurricanes, the Tampa Bay Lightning, and the Edmonton Oilers.
Okay, so you're about root. All right, so this is interesting. If your team's not in it, and we could probably do this with the Heat and the NBA as well, when your team's not in it, you're more about finding teams to root against than to root for.
Yes, I'm a hating-ass hater. And while
there's no one you would like to see win the Stanley Cup this year.
there's a handful of teams. I wouldn't mind Colorado. Colorado's won a Stanley Cup recently.
I wouldn't mind Colorado.
They have great players on their team. They're fun to watch. They've been fun to watch all season long. There's even a couple teams like I don't think it's weird. In the first round, I'm rooting for Brady Tkachuk, but then I don't want Brady Tkachuk to win the Stanley Cup because
oh no, I want Brady Tkachuk to get bounced early,
here.
be angry, and you got to trade him to the Panthers. So Mike, who are the teams and give it in the order, maybe
that
it's
I
two
want
teams.
to win least.
Yeah. So maybe it's 2 teams, maybe it's 3 teams. Who are the teams, and in what order would it bother you most if they won?
Roy and I can already tell, disagree about my number 1 overall. Roy's going with Tampa. State your case as to why you're rooting against Tampa the most, Roy.
Because it's Tampa. That's why.
I'm with Roy
That's
on
the,
this.
That's
I was,
the major
I was
case.
talking with my buddies last night about who would you root for in a Edmonton versus Tampa final.
Oh, Edmonton.
I'd
That's
go
so
Edmonton.
easy.
I'm with that.
I would
Edmonton.
I would root for Edmonton.
I don't
though.
even, like...
We
is-
all agree that Edmonton is third in this group of teams. Yes?
Oh, I don't think I even care if Edmonton... I don't think it would bother me if Edmonton
I care a
won.
little bit. I don't like Edmonton, but
Why? We own them. Like, what has Edmonton ever done to you?
I
want them
It
to-
gave me a lot of stress.
I want them
Yeah.
still to not have it. Like
Yeah.
I'd like to be able to go into next season and be
Yeah.
like McDavid still.
I
you
got
don't
a sticker
it.
on the back of my
I don't-
phone
I
that
don't feel
says
that way.
losers instead of Oilers. Like I kind of like that they're losers, and I want to keep.
Yeah,
them
I don't feel that
losers.
way. I have no problem with Edmonton winning, especially when the Panthers
Also,
are not in the playoff.
McDavid not having a Stanley Cup. I kind of like that.
You like that
storyline.
story.
Yeah,
I can see that.
Let's keep that going for a few years. Look, Tampa has had plenty of success in state. I think when they play Florida in the postseason, recently Florida's shown them that Florida is a better team, and not just by a little, by a lot. But they've been there before. They'll get the banter advantage for the time being. They still kind of have it because they have one more cup. I get why you hate the Lightning more than my number 1 team that I want to see win the least, which is the Carolina Hurricanes.
Is that because of the group chat?
Mainly because I'm rooting against John Isner so vehemently, and they hate the Florida Panthers, but I don't want them to get away with their whole plan.
Was John Isner playing stupid this morning on we have a hockey group chat, and this morning Mike Ryan put because the Panthers season ended last night. They played 82 games. There's a handful of games tonight. It's the final night of the regular season. And Mike Ryan put a photo of a Stanley Cup, and on top of the cup is a gold asterisk.
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe you can't tell that it's an asterisk, but it's a gold asterisk that sits atop the Stanley Cup. And John Isner, great former tennis player, huge Carolina Hurricanes fan, talks a lot of shit. He asked this morning, I don't understand what this means. Like, he really didn't know that that's what you get when the Panthers aren't in the playoffs. You get a Stanley Cup with an asterisk? Like, he need that explained to him?
There's a reason why I'm rooting against Carolina that goes beyond just John Isner, and the banter there is Carolina, because of the way that the NHL postseason is designed. It's not 1 through 8.
I don't like it.
We have a postseason series between the Flyers and the Penguins that if it were 1 through 8, that'd be
Yeah.
the 7 versus 8 matchup.
It's every year you're playing the same teams. Although, actually, this year in the Atlantic, Buffalo, Montreal in the top 3. Like, this year you actually do have some parity. But otherwise, like, every year the Panthers are playing Toronto and Tampa Bay and Boston.
A large reason why we have the parity is the dynastic team of the generation is, out injured. That allows for some other teams to get an opportunity here. I think Carolina has manipulated this postseason format to think that they're a lot closer than they actually were. There would be a lot more first-round exits for the Carolina Hurricanes if we were playing 1 through 8. For example, when they matched up most recently, that would have been a first-round matchup, and the Florida Panthers would do what they always do to the Carolina Hurricanes, which is Yeah, and sometimes in a sweep that doesn't feel like a sweep. And they just kind of keep plodding along with the same guys, thinking that one day they'll be better than the Florida Panthers and their plan will work. And the thing is, the plan did work, and it kind of bums me out because they just kind of outlasted Florida. Florida, because of all the hockey and all those ass kickings that they've delivered to teams like the Carolina Hurricanes, have broken down. And I don't want Carolina to just skate on in there and be champs just because solely the Florida Panthers aren't around to stop them.
I don't think that they will because, and at least this was the way that I went into the 24 postseason Stanley Cup playoffs with the Panthers. I remember, I think Dan was probably someone who said, "Oh, aren't you a little bit scared? You don't want to play the Lightning?" I'm like, no, I definitely want to play the Lightning because in order for us to win the Stanley Cup, we have to go through the Lightning.
Had to.
And they did, and they beat them. They beat them a couple years in a row, actually. And I feel like Carolina's going to have to do the same thing. They're not going to get that chance this year. I don't think it's going to work for them. But you have Carolina number 1.
Yeah.
I have Tampa number 1.
I don't like
Tampa's number 1 for me.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. Look, this is sports. Where I argued my case, you argued yours. I think in a vacuum, I hate the Tampa Bay Lightning more than I hate the Carolina Hurricanes. That's a great in-state rivalry. But I think through the prism of winning a title, I don't want Carolina to reach those heights solely because Florida's not there. If Tampa wins it, I think it's on merit.
No, I don't like it.
I don't think it, for whatever reason, I just don't, even though Carolina has more points, they'd be the number 1 overall seed if that's, well, they are. That's how we're doing things. I just think that they are taking total advantage of the Panthers not being there. And I guess at the end of the day, guys, like, no matter who wins, even if it's one of those 3 teams, we're always going to get to say, you didn't do it. You didn't actually do it.
But still, I have 3 teams that it would bother me very much if they won. Number 1 with a bullet is Tampa Bay. Number 2, very, right behind them is Carolina. And then a distant third for me is Boston. Chris?
Yeah, I would put Edmonton in there, though. I like the
It
narrative.
doesn't bother me.
I want to be able, like, kind of with all this, I want to be able to be like, Connor, you don't have it yet. Next year, try to get it through us again.
Now, I will put on record, I am rooting for Montreal. When Florida is not in the postseason, I always root for Montreal.
Yeah,
all right?
You're from Montreal.
I'm not from there. I have dual citizenship, but I'm from here. I was born at Jackson Memorial. All right?
From Montreal and attended Santa Fe.
I am from here. Neither of those things you just said are true.
I think Montreal's an easy team to root for in this postseason.
Buffalo's an easy team to root for.
Buffalo is the easiest.
Buffalo.
Yeah. If I have a rooting interest, I want to see one team lift the cup. I think Roy and I are aligned here. It's probably Buffalo.
Buffalo would be amazing.
Absolutely.
I mean, those people, they live on the wall in Game of Thrones. Like, give them something.
As a novice of hockey, like, why are you guys rooting for Buffalo?
They've been toiling away. It had been a long time since they made the postseason.
Brutal franchise.
Famously traded away so many superstars that if they just kept their core together, they'd be dynastic.
The last time they were in the Stanley Cup, brutal finish. Brett Hall had a skate clearly in the crease in overtime in Game 6. They counted the goal anyway. Stars win the cup. Buffalo has not been back.
Yeah, I don't hate Buffalo the way that a lot of Dolphin fans do because I'm not a Dolphin fan. I actually think it's a great town. I think it's a great sports town, especially with great fans that deserve a championship.
So that's what's going on with the hockey. All right, our Panthers, heart of a champion, 8 goals on the final day.
We're the Mammoths.
They're in the playoffs.
They're going to make the playoffs.
By far,
Yeah.
number 1 in the West.
And it's singular. Mammoth.
No, I don't know.
Mammoth.
But-
You don't
but
say the Utah Jazz is.
You know who's on the Mammoths?
Who?
Mackenzie Weegar.
Oh, we don't like him, though, right?
Oh, he knows what he did.
Utah's got 2 of those, huh?
He knows what he did.
Can I jump in real quick and wish everyone a happy National Eggs Benedict Day? Just get in with that real quick.
To those who
Mathering.
celebrate.
You want to try it one more time, the way you said it?
What? Happy National Eggs Benedict Day.
All right, so that came out of nowhere. But also, I will tell you, I have never had Eggs Benedict in my life.
What? Oh, dude, you're missing out. It's delicious.
It's overrated. You're good.
What?
Yeah, it's
No,
it's
no.
okay. It's
Hollandaise
fine.
sauce is not overrated. It's good. You go down to the Keys, get a lobster Benny. You
there's-
look, Chris just came.
There's so many great breakfast options if you go to a breakfast place. Eggs Benedict is not even on my radar.
Well, clearly because you've never had it.
What's going on there?
It's really good. It's a poached egg. You get it just right.
like poached
the
egg.
yolk. You don't like poached egg?
I do. I like poached egg.
Well, if you like a poached egg, why wouldn't you do an Eggs Benedict?
Well, you got this hollandaise bullshit you just talked about. I don't need that.
What do you think it tastes like?
What do I think Eggs Benedict tastes like?
Yeah,
I have no
like,
idea.
Yeah, exactly. You're saying hollandaise.
No, but I
is
know what I
bullshit.
like. I know the things that I
No,
like.
you don't.
I
Not
sure
if you-
do.
No, not if you don't try it.
We did the Pepsi challenge with the sodas with me. All sodas I've never tried before. I hated them all.
If you like a poached egg, you like Eggs Benny.
Never had it.
You got to be an adult here, dude. This is like
I think I
talking to a
am.
7-year-old.
I'm making choices. I have free will. That's what an adult
what are you having
does.
for breakfast?
What do you say, scramby
Dino
eggs?
nuggets?
If I'm at a breakfast place,
Fruity Pebbles.
I scrambled eggs is usually the go-to. Maybe I'll get sunny side up, but scrambled eggs is the go-to. I don't get fancy here. I don't need you putting the eggs
What's
on
on the
something.
side, though? What's on the side?
A little
Yeah.
ketchup with your eggs.
No, no ketchup.
Oh, what, you're talking all big? Like you got this refined palate, do you?
I'll have some toast on the side. Depends where I'm at. It could be a bagel, if not toast. And we'll do the hash browns.
Are you a home fries or hash browns guy?
If
Do
I
you
had
like
to
them thin and crispy, or do you like them like big and junky?
Okay, I like them thin and crispy.
There you go.
I love everything crispy. Any kind of food that I'm
I
having,
like
you're
them big and
talking.
round and juicy.
any kind of food, if it's a little bit burnt, I'm in on it.
little chore.
I don't care what kind of food it is.
Have you done so? If you haven't had the eggs Benny ever in your life, have you seen this viral egg Chef Jose Andres? Are you familiar?
Well, I don't know that food.
We were talking about this after the show a little bit. Famous chef. He says the greatest omelet you'll ever have is putting a singular egg in some sort of ramekin. No exact measurement of mayonnaise, just however much you like. And you put it in the microwave for like 20 to 25 seconds. Best omelet you've ever had. Now, there's all sorts. My algo was dialed into that, and now I have all these reaction
you and I
vids
have
to it.
different algorithms, man.
And all the reaction vids are like, it's actually incredible. I was talking to Bimmel yesterday. He tried it. He adds a little butter to it. He says, believe it or not, you nuke this egg. It's incredible. I got to try it.
All right. So
Look at that. Made some content for you.
So thank you. So last night,
Thank you. Egg Benedict Day, according to Chris Coney.
last night,
Singular egg.
the NBA play-in continued. Everyone's on the NBA play-in tip. Everybody loves the NBA play-in. The 76ers beat the Magic. Boy, the Magic stink. I can't believe we have to watch them another night.
This
They
is
play
a
on
huge
Friday now.
disaster for the Orlando Magic, huh?
It's funny how quickly things change in that league, because if you had asked a year ago, Jamal Mosley, great coach. And if Orlando didn't have to play again now on Friday against Charlotte, Jamal Mosley would be fired today. Instead, he's going to be fired on Saturday when they lose to Charlotte.
You already got that penned in?
Yeah, I got that in black permanent marker. So the Sixers win last night against the Magic. The Sixers are in the playoffs. They're going to face Boston in the first round. Okay, that's kind of spicy. Boston,
Nice
Philadelphia.
little rivalry.
The
historically.
Magic will go on to play. They'll host Charlotte on Friday for the right to lose to Detroit in the first round of the playoffs. Golden State last night. I went to sleep before this one ended. I can't stay up that late, all right? And I woke up not even remotely expecting Golden State to have won this game. Not even close.
Same. Like, by the time that I went to go to sleep, it was about halftime, and the Clippers were like, all right, this is going to be a Clippers win. You know, Steph Curry, we'll see you next week. And then all of a sudden...
No, we
it was
wouldn't
like-
see him next week.
Well, I'm saying, you know what I mean. Like, we'll see you next time. And
I didn't know what you
No, I
mean.
didn't know what you meant.
Why would you see him next week?
I misspoke.
It's a weird thing to say.
I misspoke.
Oh,
Is that
wow.
okay?
That's big of you.
Brave.
All right. Thank you.
I misspoke. See you next year. How about that?
Well,
There you go.
What do you say?
So the Warriors win 126-121. Steph Curry, he's the star. But before we get to that, before we get to the play-in action from last night, the big news yesterday, the NBA has served justice. That's right. Justice has been served because even though nothing was called in the game, Bam Adebayo, that dirty LaMelo Ball, who multiple times now has tripped Bam Adebayo by pulling at his leg while Bam is moving. Bam misses the rest of the game. The Heat season is over. LaMelo Ball, the NBA has brought down the hammer, and they have retroactively assigned a flagrant foul penalty to LaMelo Ball. Now, this, of course, if it took place in the game, which it should have, would have resulted in LaMelo Ball being thrown out of the game. But the NBA, since that didn't happen, they have taken the action of assessing a retroactive flagrant 2, and now the Heat fan can rest easy because he has gotten the punishment that he deserves. What a great job by the NBA.
That makes me feel so much better. Jeremy, that do it for you?
I'm still fuming.
You feel good, right? They made the right call. It's flagrant foul 2. That's the right thing to do.
We like it when people admit that they made a
They
mistake.
gave him that he deserved a flagrant 2, and they gave it to him. So now everyone's happy, right?
I think the fact that this is the Hornets again, like the fact that the Hornets got away with the Rozier stuff and now got away with this in
Well,
this
it's Hornets
game.
and the league
Right.
got away with the Rozier
both.
stuff.
On both. They decided not to review it in the moment because whatever their decision is on rules, they can go back and take away a Max Strus 3, but they can't go back and
minutes
assess
later.
a flagrant 2. It's insane. And but what? Because it would have changed the flow of the game? How about playing thinking you have one more point?
Why are you getting so mad? They addressed this.
Yeah.
It is.
I mean, you would have said it should have been a flagrant foul penalty too, right? Well, the NBA gave it yesterday.
That's
So
right.
everything's good, right?
I said I
You're
misspoke.
You know what? Everything is fine.
Yeah, everything's okay
I'm
now.
chill.
Yeah.
It's fine.
That's right.
Everything's fine. They're gonna
And he
end
was
up with-
fined a total for 2 separate actions. He was fined a total of $60,000. So he may have to get a second job It's a tough spot for LaMelo, but it is what it is.
It's a lot of tickets he can't pay.
I mean, actions have consequences. So $60,000. Flagrant foul penalty 2 has officially been assessed to LaMelo Ball. That's frustrating, man. If you're a Heat fan, that is frustrating.
Yeah, if you're a Heat fan, you're seeing Bam Adebayo next week. Your season's done.
See you next week, right, Bam?
On IG, maybe.
Yeah.
You'll see him at Talladega.
When does Aegis start playing?
She just had a Supermax.
Yeah. How about that? 3 years, $5 million. Asia Wilson, greatest female basketball player in the world right now. 3 years, $5 million. There you go. So you may be surprised, but based on all of the reaction all day yesterday, everyone was crushing LaMelo Ball. It really is one of those instances because the Heat are not a team that's I feel like most people, and it's a Miami thing. And don't even give me Miami persecution complex, okay? This is a real thing. People don't like Miami sports teams, period. Probably for a myriad of reasons. When do you ever get everyone seemingly unanimously in agreement that the Heat got screwed? And that's what took place yesterday. Like, everyone was making the case, I feel, that the Heat got screwed. LaMelo should have been thrown out of the game, except for one person.
Really? Who?
One person. That's right. Mr. Lavar Ball.
Now we're getting ready. We got these folks over here who ain't commenting on the game and talking about somebody a clown. Has Nick Wright ever looked in the mirror? I bet you if you look in the dictionary right now and you look up a clown, you're going to see two things. One, it's going to be somebody with some long hair on the sides and a big-ass nose. Yep, that's Nick Wright, a clown in itself. He's been a clown ever since I knew him, and I know his tag team buddy, too. Yes, Gritlock. He looks like a clown, too. Puffy cheeks and a big round nose and a big belly to match. Yes, I'm calling them all out. They're all clowns. So don't ever curl your lips and say a ball boy's a clown, because you know you a clown. That's why y'all keep looking at each other like two Rudy Poots. That's how this thing goes down. I'm trying to figure how somebody can lay on their back and with their left hand flip over a man 260 pounds. Try that. That ain't gonna work. And Spoelstra, don't be making all these excuses talking about you don't want to make an excuse. Then why you making one? Win the game and call it in. But if somebody falling on top of me, you best believe I'm gonna put my hands up and do all kind of stuff. So that's just how the balls are taught. We do some dangerous stuff. Get out the way, because we ain't getting stepped on. But you Rudy Poots, go look at the game and quit worrying about the shame. Triple B's, you know how I do this. But hey, like I said before, Gritlock and Nick Wrong, y'all stay together, because you're a good team of nuts.
Triple B, you know how you do?
Team of nuts.
You know how he do?
Rudy Poots is a bar.
You know how you
It's
do?
also, I think it's Rudy Poo. I don't know what a Rudy Poot is.
Rudy
And I was
Poot?
going to let it slide the first time, but then he brought it back.
Urban Dictionary says someone who is more or less a wannabe poser, loser, or something to that effect.
So did The Rock have it wrong during the Attitude Era?
Let's find out.
What are you Googling? Did The Rock have it wrong?
Because The Rock didn't say Rudy Poot, right? He said Rudy Poot, Candy S.
Can I tell you real quick? I was watching some Attitude Era WWE a couple nights ago before I went to sleep. The Rock's people's elbow, electric.
So hold on a second. Can you walk me
forget
through this?
it was electric.
So Zaz, you get into bed, Mrs. Zaz next to you.
Yeah.
You said, you know what we're gonna throw
Well, we
on
have a new thing in my bedroom now.
Oh, yeah?
a TV?
Yeah.
Where you sit and watch?
We have a new thing where my wife, she won't let me have the TV on anymore. Okay, it emits heat, and
Admits he.
and
You are a child.
and
do
it
you
keeps
have?
her awake.
She tuck you in?
She won't let me have the TV on anymore.
This is after you put on your Shield pajamas, yes?
And so I have to watch on the iPad. So I got the iPad.
Oh, she gave you tablet time. That's nice.
So I have the iPad and I have
So you have your knees tucked up. You have the iPad resting against your knees.
I have a pillow on my stomach.
Get the
and I
password
put
for
the-
YouTube Kids.
I put the iPad on the pillow, and I have one AirPod in my right
You
ear.
have the iPad on the pillow. Wait, are you on your belly?
No, I'm on my back.
I thought you got tummy time too.
You get 10 minutes, and then we're
Legs
going to
up.
sleep, and then it's nighttime.
I'm on my back. I have the pillow on my stomach. I have the iPad. This one right here, it's the one I use. Same iPad. I got the iPad on the pillow, and I have one AirPod in my right ear. Because, if she says something to me, I want to be able to hear because she's on the left.
That's why I wear my headphones the way I do.
So I only have one AirPod in my right ear, and that's how I watch the games, or maybe I'll watch a little bit of pro wrestling before I go to sleep.
Like a big boy.
Yeah, that's right.
So you sleep on the right.
I do. I sleep on the right side.
Interesting.
Yeah. I'm not really sure how we
Is that
came.
closer to the door?
No, it's actually not close to the door. I'm not really sure how
So
we
in case you have a home intruder, she's the one that is going to defend the room. Yeah.
You know what? Now that I think of it, the bat is on her side as well.
Oh.
Could probably save a few extra seconds if I put it on my side, right?
Well, depending on where the door is. Right.
Yeah. The door's on the left side.
Okay.
She's
so
close to the door.
I think you should switch sides.
Yeah, the bat's on her side.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that'll throw. Switch sides.
I would never be able to fall asleep.
We've been on this side for 10 years now.
Speaking of the people's elbow, what is the Mount Rushmore of finishing moves that actually
thank
didn't
God.
hurt?
Oh, wow. Okay,
Like
so
the
Mike will
Hulk
come up with
Hogan,
that.
right?
Finishing
has to
moves?
be
Finishing moves.
that don't actually hurt.
Oh, that
finishing
don't
moves
actually hurt?
No, I'm
finishing
talking about-
moves that look like they shouldn't be a finishing move.
Right, like
Okay.
isn't
That's
the
good.
Hulk's like the leg drop?
Yes,
Like
no,
that-
you're right. That's
Yeah.
a good one.
I don't know how that doesn't hurt him more than the other guy.
I think it does.
It does.
It's got to be Hulk and then the people's elbow
Okay,
for me.
Mike's going to come up with a list. All right, he's going to come up with Mount Rushmore. Finishing move that doesn't look like it should be a finishing move. Excellent job. So LaVar Ball was saying that Bam flopped, right?
No, he's saying that he was rationalizing the behavior. If a guy's falling, you're putting your arms up, you're trying
Protect
No, but he was
yourself.
saying, how do you expect someone LaMelo's size to be able to pull down a guy who's 260 pounds? He's saying that Bam flopped.
LaMelo is like 2 inches shorter than Bam. Mm-hmm. LaMelo is a big dude.
Do you think, like, does Eric Spoelstra, does he see that video? Because my guess is he doesn't see it, but what happens a lot of time is, you know, the coaches, especially because when they have media availability every single day, the PR guy will come with a stack of newspaper clippings, you know, internet stories, and he'll give it to the coach a little bit before the press conference. They could sift through it so they know some things that might be asked that they may have to talk about. So there's no way Eric Spoelstra sees LaVar Ball calling him out. Does someone actually show Eric, hey, check this out?
Coach, really quick.
Right, like
I don't
no
wanna tell
way,
you, but
right?
Here, did you see this about LaVar Ball?
There's no way someone does that, right?
I mean, they have to, right? If it's part of your job, you got to figure, like, all right, I got to tell Coach what's out there, and like what's out there is LaVar Ball still out here doing it.
So you think someone puts that on his desk in some fashion that LaVar Ball has called you out?
You think that he has like a private, like a Finsta, like a fake Instagram where he just gets news stories sent to him by the PR team, and it's like you don't know it's Eric Spoelstra's account, and then all of a sudden the PR team just sends him, hey, do you see this?
Maybe.
On IG, and then they scroll through and they're like,
Maybe.
better than printing it out, right? Like, I mean, show him the tablet, like, hey, here it is.
Maybe. Tony, what'd you make of Steph Curry last night?
It was special, man. Like, in the first half, obviously you and I were both watching the first half. He goes out, he walks into the locker room. We're like, oh, is this the end of Steph Curry? Like, he's been out for 20-some-odd games, 28, 27 games with a knee injury. He goes to the locker room. I'm like, damn, this might be bad. They were down like 14-2 at one point. Guy Santos, good player, by the way. Keep your eye on him, Mike. Okay. Guy Santos.
See him next week?
Maybe. Maybe we see him next week. So Steph comes back in and just lights the world on fire and hits the clutch three after clutch three, getting the layup, shoots high floaters. The last play where he basically ices the game almost, the pick and roll with him and Draymond, where he throws a behind-the-back pass to Draymond, curls back on the screen, uses that to rotate to the other side of the wing, and drill like a 35-footer on Brook Lopez. I was like, holy shit, he still has gas in the tank.
Steve Kerr was talking at, and look, let the Warriors feel themselves. I'm never going to get on a team for celebrating Steve Kerr was calling it, this feels like we won the championship again. And like, that's easy to make fun of Steve Kerr for saying that because this is a 4-time champion Warrior team. And what are you talking about? This is a play-in. It's your third year in a row in the play-in, actually. And, you know, how could you say that? I can't sit here and criticize players for not caring and then criticize them also for really caring. So I like it. I'm totally fine with the way that they behaved last night and celebrated that win. But after the game, Steve Kerr talking about how, you know, this is why Steph came back. This is why he played. People were saying, you know, why come back this year? You should sit it out. Who the hell is saying that Steph Curry shouldn't have played? There are people out there that are saying, I don't want to see Steph Curry. Don't play. Like, it's such a straw man argument. It's that whole, you know, everybody doubted us. No one thought we could. No one was saying Steph Curry shouldn't play basketball.
Not only that, it's like you're going to save him for next year when you have a real chance of winning the Western Conference, or not really. Like
if they lost the game, Steph Curry would have 4 months to rest. No one is saying you should hold him out.
Right. It's like one of the greatest shooter, and one of the biggest stars we've ever seen.
We all want him to play.
We want to see him play against another guy who's a legendary guy in Kawhi Leonard. And we only talk about the offense, but the defensive side of the ball, Draymond Green still got it.
Well, Steve Kerr also called him after the game, said he's the best defensive player he's ever seen.
He locked down Kawhi Leonard. Like, Kawhi was passing out of, like, easy plays one-on-one where he could have got past him, which makes me a little bit worried about Kawhi, by the way. Got to get Draymond there. Top of the key.
I think about it for a second. Is Draymond Green, like, is that a ridiculous thing for Steve Kerr to say? It might not be ridiculous. Like, is it possible Draymond Green's the best defensive player ever? Might be.
I don't think he's the best defensive player ever because Wemby is here now, and like he's already kind of the best defensive player we've ever seen.
It's only 3 years.
I know, but he covers literally from the 3-point line to the rim in one fell swoop. Like, nobody can do that. Draymond can guard 1 through 5, which is incredible in his versatility defensively, how he can play behind as the anchor on a 2-3, how he can play one-on-one defense.
Sounds like someone else I know.
Wemby, yeah.
Can I jump in?
Knocked out of the plane.
Can I jump in real quick and wish everyone a happy National Banana Day?
Can I tell you something? I've never had a banana. No, that's not true.
Okay. I was about to lose my mind.
Is Kawhi Leonard going to be a Heat target this offseason? Give this a listen. I think I mentioned this yesterday, actually. And I talked about it on ESPN this past weekend as well, where I think there's a real chance that the Heat go after Kawhi Leonard. Now, what's the route of going after Kawhi Leonard? Is it going to be a trade? Which I think the Clippers are going to be very open to trading Kawhi Leonard. But maybe it is actually as a free agent, because maybe this aspiration hammer comes down and Adam Silver decides to do something, because he's done nothing. But maybe he decides to do something, which so convenient, right? The aspiration stuff, they couldn't get this investigation done in the past 6 months. But now, because the Clippers season is over, they'll probably be able to finish it up, all right? So maybe the contract gets voided or whatever, and he ends up becoming a free agent. But here's Kawhi Leonard after the game last night, and he doesn't seem to worry about it.
I'm not sure. I never thought about it too much other than questions asked. So you have to ask the NBA, not me. I'm not the one doing the investigation.
Just a quick follow-up. How important is it for you to have some kind of resolution to that?
I think that we're going to be in the clear, like I told you before. So I'm not stressing it.
Honestly, there's no reason for him to stress it.
Why?
He's going to end up being the big winner here. You'll see. Because worst case scenario is his contract gets voided and he becomes a free agent. And what do you think happens then?
On the heels of his best year.
A bidding war.
What do you think happens then? Like, he has no reason to stress anything. Now, maybe the Clippers want to stress a little bit. You know, maybe they get draft picks taken away, you know, or Steve Ballmer, maybe he gets banned for a year.
But we've learned from Pablo Torre Finds Out, the investigation seems focused on Kawhi and Uncle Dennis.
I don't know what they did wrong.
It seems focused on them, and as Pablo Torre Finds Out revealed, the person that is paying for all these investigations is Steve Ballmer, and no one's been asked questions about Steve Ballmer.
What does that mean? The person pay? Meaning he's paying
the NBA,
a price.
Yeah, in the NBA, he has to front the cost for the investigation, so he is paying the investigator.
Why does he got to do that?
Well, listen, Pablo Torre Finds Out.
Oh, okay.
That's a rule. That's a rule in the NBA.
I really don't think Kawhi Leonard did anything wrong. Like, is it a player and I guess his agents, if you want to do like that, is it their responsibility to make sure that a team is compliant with the salary cap? I mean, if a team offers you a contract, you then have to check and make sure that their books are correct.
That's not my job.
Look, this is a collectively bargained sport, and I do see the ownership side, which is like, this is a practice. Like, I am an owner trying to find a solution for a demand that is coming from a client. The client wants more money and wants me to find creative. Like, the argument could be like, they want me to find creative ways to circumnavigate the salary cap. I understand that POV, but there is in a collectively bargained sport, it is a two-way road. So I do think that there are ways to legislate these demands not coming from the agents, the reps, and they may want to legislate that.
I think the Heat could be in play for Kawhi, but he's like 35, right? He's like, what are you laughing at over there?
Yeah, look at this photo of my big boy over here. Look at that. Tucked
Is that you?
in on the right side
Is that what you
of
look
the
like?
Bed.
It's awesome.
Got my pajamas on. Got 10 minutes. Mommy put in the password.
Man, I got to be honest with you. I want those pajamas. Those are good looking. Come on now. Yeah, I wonder what I'm watching there. It looks like I'm enjoying it, though.
Oh, you know about that SummerSlam? The Lions Den match?
I just got done. That's the one I want. I swear to God.
Yeah?
SummerSlam 99.
Yeah.
That's the one I watched.
Was that Owen Hart versus Steve Blackman?
No,
Or
Steve Blackman, Ken Shamrock.
Ken Shamrock.
Yeah, Mankind won the title in the main event.
World's most dangerous man.
The Rock, People's Elbow, Mr. Ass. Electric.
Well, I have my top 5. Mr. Ass and his fame asser finishing move is another one of those moves that's a little leg drop adjacent that looks like it hurts more to deliver.
Okay.
So this is going to be a controversial list. And, man, I wish I could find this IG reel that really explained all these moves that hurt way more to deliver than to receive.
All right, so you
But I
got
have a
Mr.
top
Ass's
5.
famous, sir.
Yeah, he's OLI. Here's the
Okay.
top 5. This is – I'm a little conflicted here because it's one of the cooler-looking finishers, and it's electric when it gets delivered. But the RKO, I never really understood because it seems like it's way tougher to deliver because all that weight is going on Randy Orton's back. The
You
fact
don't
that
think
he's had
that
problems-
looks like a great finisher?
It looks no. I'm saying it looks like a super cool finisher. It's one of the coolest finishers, but the person, all they have to do is land on their tummy.
Okay.
Like where Randy Orton is taking the brunt of that,
All
all
right.
on his back, and he's had back issues. Number 4, there's some fanfare here. Yeah. Number 4, the Swanton Bomb.
Good one.
Most of the times this is delivered. It's a very cool looking move. Jeff Hardy does the flip, and then at the very last second, he kind of
Doesn't look like it hurts.
No, he's just landing on his neck. Like all the other person has to absorb is like the tippy top of
Yeah.
Jeff Hardy's head.
Good point.
His multicolored hair. Well, let's keep going. Number 3, the diving headbutt. I don't get headbutts as a move in general. Like if someone wants to deliver a headbutt, I'm not finding that guy.
You're just asking for CTE.
Right, but how are you guaranteed that it doesn't hurt you more?
Yep. Bam Bam Bigelow.
Number 2 is a leg drop. We covered that.
Yeah.
And number 1, to me, it's entertaining and it's the dumbest. The airplane spin. Both guys are spinning.
I get a little dizzy.
Both guys, I mean, the punishment is you get dizzy, but the guy delivering it doesn't get dizzy. How does that work? They're both spinning.
Maybe he pukes.
But they're both spinning.
Shakespeare is done by the Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz. We've stolen the exclamation point officially from Get Up. It's put after the word show.
So this is Act 1, Scene 2 of Macbeth. The stage instructions are: a camp near Fours. Alarm within. Enter Duncan, Malcolm, Donalbain, Lennox with attendants, meeting a bleeding sergeant.
I don't even know what that means.
Jessica, you will play the role.
All right, so wait, can we set the scene? Thank you, Mike. Can we set the scene, Mike, from high school? Can you give Chris Cody his motivation on, because he didn't even understand what Whittingham.
Am I happy?
Like what?
Am I like distressed?
What, in what condition does the distressed? Okay, very good. Good confidence there. Let's have the music that we need, Shakespearean music, and let's see if we can find our note here.
What bloody man is that? He can report, as seemeth by his plight of the revolt, the new estate.
This is the sergeant, who like a good and hardy soldier fought gainst my captivity. Hail, brave friend! Say to the king the knowledge of the broil, as thou didst leave it.
So true.
Doubtful it stood as two spent swimmers that do cling together and choke their art. The merciless MacDonald, worthy to be a rebel, for to that. The multiplying villainies of nature, do swarm upon him from the Western Isles. Of kerns and Gallowes glasses is supplied, and fortune of his damned quarrel smiling. Showed like a rebel's whore, showed like a rebel's whore, but all's too weak for brave Macbeth. Well, he deserves that name, disdaining fortune with his brandished steel, which smoked a blood with bloody execution.
What?
Yes.
Like Valuor's minion carved out his passage, till he faced the slave.
I feel your distress. I really do.
Which ne'er shook hands nor bade farewell to him, till he uniseamed him from the navity, nave,
Don't let them deter you.
to the chaps, and fixed his head upon our battlements.
O valiant cousin, worthy gentleman.
This episode of the Dan Le Batard Show is presented by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Roy, I heard that for the second time this week, you have a video of the day for us. Roy, it's very exciting. It's a new thing. Roy, what do you got for us today?
Yeah, I have nothing to do with this. I'm just here.
Okay. Well, for those of you watching on video, we got Roy's. Look at that. That's a great graphic of you right there, Roy. You look handsome.
Why is he
Nice
tweaking?
logo.
Why is the robot tweaking on the floor?
I don't know, ask Roy. He picked it. Roy's video of the day. Nothing personal with David Samson every weekday morning, DraftKings Network. Hello, David. Good to see you as always.
What's up, Zaz? That's quite a segment. Is Roy not actually in favor with the video, his own video of the day? Did he not choose it? Or was his name like slathered onto a video that he just doesn't want to be associated with?
He's being humble. You know, Roy, you're being humble.
That's right, Dave. You're
Roy's
absolutely correct.
A senior producer on this show. And to ask the question is just almost disrespectful.
Don't be disrespectful.
Roy, I want to empower you. If you're going to be associated with Roy's video of the day, I'd like you to have input into what the video of the day is going to be so you can sell it better than a great intro by Zaz that ended with,
He's being modest, David. That's him. He's very modest.
Very humble.
That's
Full
Roy we've
control.
Always known.
He's a simple man. David, are you enjoying the NBA play in the first two nights?
I do love the play-in because I love any game where it's win or go home. I don't like the 7-8 game. I don't like where the losers get to keep playing. To me, if you lose, I like the idea of going home. I liked watching the Clippers go home. I enjoyed. I did not expect. I love when there's a payoff for the 10 p.m. Eastern game because it doesn't happen all the time. But the payoff is when you stick with it and a result happens that you don't expect, and everyone else is asleep and has to make up for it with a, oh my God, that happened, and then watch the condensed version and then pretend they watched it or just acknowledge they didn't. But when you stay up late, most of the time it just happens the way it happens. But last night, was there a payoff for the insomnia?
Like, what do you make of people? Because I heard some of this morning, like when I was driving in here today. Adam Silver, you got to give him credit. Great job with the play-in. And my counter to that would be the bar is so low in that league that the reason the play-in is good is because dudes are trying. Like, these are amazing athletes. They're amazing players. The NBA is a good game when the players try. And that's what we're seeing these couple of nights. And it's what we're going to see the next 2 months.
Do you think that regular season hockey game 60 has a different feel than game 4 of round 1 of the Stanley Cup playoffs? Because I do.
Yes, it does, but I don't think anyone is going to accuse the NHL player, though, of not trying during the season.
No, I think that, of course, hockey players are built differently. My point was that you can never compare anything with stakes to anything without. And there may be stakes over the course of a regular season, of course, when you add it up in the macro. But on a night-by-night basis, it's very hard to feel that an April game in MLB is going to be the difference, except when you fall a game short of a playoff spot or a wild card, or when you lose a tiebreaker because of a result that happened, like on a point differential. It's hard to feel that importance in the moment, but believe me, in the rearview mirror, it matters. And what the NBA is acknowledging, which all sports are now acknowledging, is we need more games during the course of regular season, all through the playoffs. We need more games where there's a stake, where there's an acknowledged stake by the players. It's why the specialty games work in baseball, you know, the Field of Dreams games, or when you go to Fort Bragg or all the different places, the Little League, Williamsport. You just are looking for games, international games in football. I could argue may not mean as much to the players, but still they're cool to wake up at 9:30 a.m. and watch a game on the East Coast. So that's what Adam Silver did well. Add more inventory.
How do you feel as a former executive? Like, what are the Miami Heat thinking yesterday when the league retroactively awards a flagrant foul penalty to LaMelo Ball, which of course means they're saying he should, not only did nothing happen during the game, he should have been thrown out of the game, is what the league is telling you there. Like, as an executive for the Miami Heat, how did it's stupid. It doesn't mean anything. Justice wasn't served.
Well, it's not that it's stupid, Zaz. It's that it doesn't matter. We would get a call from the league when there was going to be discipline imposed on one of our guys. You get the call before the PR release goes out. You also get a call when there's discipline that's being handed out to someone on another team for a play that involved your team. So in this case, the Miami Heat would have gotten the heads up that, hey, we're fining him $60,000, flagrant 2. Just FYI, the release is going out at 2:00 Eastern, which is a popular time for releases to go out. And my answer always was, yeah, but that doesn't do anything for me. You got the call wrong. The game's over. If I protest the game, which I could do while the game's happening, we would have those conversations during the game. So it's possible Pat Riley is having the conversation. Are we calling the league during the game? Are we protesting this game because of this missed call? Because we would do that in baseball where you can play a game under protest, but you don't win those. You do not win those. It is so rare. It didn't happen in my career where you'd replay the inning or replay from that point the rest of the game. It just doesn't happen that way. So you end up saying to the commissioner's representative, screw you. Like, that is of no use to me that you fined him $60,000 and gave him a flagrant 2 after the fact. And I would call for in-game corrections of missed calls by referees, by the alternate referee, or by New York. And I've wanted that in baseball forever.
Funny enough, the last time protests do happen in the NBA once in a while. Funny enough, the last time it was a protest was upheld, it was the Miami Heat winning the protest. It was back in 2008 where they replayed the final few minutes of a game that Shaquille O'Neal was ruled to have picked up his 6th foul, and he was disqualified when it was actually 5 fouls, and he should not have been thrown out of the game yet. They replayed the end of the game the next time the Heat were at the Hawks. And the funniest part, David, is Shaq wasn't on the team anymore because they traded him to Phoenix. So they replayed the final few minutes of the game because Shaq should have been allowed to play, but he wasn't on their team anymore.
Did they let Shaq come and
No.
put on the Heat uniforms to play those last few minutes?
No, of course not. No.
So that's ridiculous.
And the Heat still ended up losing the game, too, by the way.
Zaz, are you familiar with the lore? Dan did some reporting around the time. Everyone remembers the Ray Allen game. Get those mother bleeping ropes out of here.
Yeah.
Loss in all of that history because the Miami Heat won was there was an illegal substitution made with Tim Duncan.
Right.
And the Miami Heat would have complained to the league about that, and they would have been in the right. And then the league would have had to have been forced to, what do we do here?
Wow. Well, and to that extent, to what you're talking about here, David, the league is saying they missed something that was substantial. So outside of looking like crybabies, why wouldn't the Heat protest this?
It's the same as the 2-minute report. Those things, I don't know if you guys read those. They make me crazy.
Terrible.
About all.
Clear our throat.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate that. So, yes, the 2-minute report is something that I am not in favor of. I don't need to be reminded. It's like the umpire review. I understand all the calls they missed. I was there. I watched the game. I know exactly what the umpire's missing or what calls are missed. The 2-minute review, because the explanations are always a bunch of horse crap. And so it just makes me even more angry. But I never got relief. I can't say there was a call I made to the league office, and I'm guessing not twice a year. So I'm going to say under 36, but more than 20 is the total number of calls to the league office during the course of my career. I didn't feel good after any of them. I didn't get any relief after any of them. And you're supposed to feel that way when you protest something. It's supposed to help you mentally, and it never helps.
What do you talk to, like a secretary? You're like, hello, MLB.
No.
It's
How
me
may I help
again.
you?
There's someone on duty, actually, who you know each day. They're responsible for what is going on the field that particular day. And it's a rotation. It's like doctors in a rotation on Grey's Anatomy. And so you just have a chart, and you're like, oh, Joe Torre. And you pick up the phone and call Joe, and you're like, Joe, did you see that? He's like, I'm out to dinner. I'm like, Joe, do you have any idea? Da-da-da-da-da. He's like, David, there's nothing I can do. Joe. It goes like that.
David, I want to ask you first about LIV Golf. Stay there for a little bit, and then have a larger discussion about seemingly the Saudis pulling back a lot of investments and what this might do to the sports landscape. LIV Golf may go down as one of the biggest failed sports experiments ever. It may succeed in getting the golfers paid a little bit more. I did see a funny tweet, like, shocking that Phil Mickelson made a bad bet. What's your takeaway right now in all the uncertainty surrounding LIV Golf, even though it seems pretty certain this is not long for this world? And then let's talk a little bit more about the Saudi investment fund.
Yeah, let's start with Phil Mickelson making a bad bet. Unless the checks didn't cash, which I'm pretty sure they did, I'm pretty sure that he went after money and got paid. But what you're referring to is the big news that Saudi Arabia may be cutting their financing to LIV Golf. LIV Golf is not a profitable venture. They have a well-known sports executive running it. His name is Scott O'Neill. Used to work in New York, a very well-known guy. And he is out there telling his employees and telling all of the fans and sponsors, there's nothing to see here. Big meeting in Mexico City, but whether Saudi Arabia can fund it, not fund it, they promised to fund through 2032. We've got the money for this year. Everybody be calm. And I read that email that got leaked and realized that Scott O'Neill has a problem, because when there's smoke, there's fire. And what you do when you're going to cut off deficit funding of a startup, which is what LIV is, the employees are always the last people to know, because you need them squeezing every last dollar of revenue out of that startup before you cut off the funding and close it down. So you're going to do as much misleading as you can. You're going to sort of put up a trial balloon, like it's maybe that it's not going to work, or we're worried about fourth quarter funding, but you're not going to like call them on a Tuesday and say you're done right now, because that just would be a bad financial move. So LIV is done. Make no mistake. LIV is done. Saudi Arabia is going to stop funding it. The tour is going to go away. The players will get sucked back into the PGA, and there will be a way in which they get back acclimated into the PGA the way some of the players did already when they left LIV. And it won't go down, Mike, to me, as one of the biggest failures of all time, because so many of the athletes got paid so much money.
Man, they were never able to secure like a big, substantial TV rights deal.
They all look like they hate it.
It looks sad.
But they got paid. They got paid. And there were TV deals outside of the U.S. that were far bigger than the U.S. TV deals, which were always a disaster.
Yeah, it was like on the CW app.
Yeah, but that was U.S. Yes, it was never embraced by the U.S., and I know we've got this view that if it's not big here, then it can't be big anywhere.
Fair.
But LIV, that's a very, I love that point of view. It's certainly patriotic, but I wouldn't call LIV a failure, because if I thought of doing a league that was going to compete against the big leagues, and I went out and found a sponsor that would fund hundreds of millions of dollars, billions of dollars, I'm pretty much going to call that a success. Saudi Arabia poured so much money into this. It was the perfect storm of sports washing and money laundering, where basically they supported this rebel league at a time when the PGA was having its issues with its players, and all of a sudden there's an alternative to the players. I'm going to call LIV a big success, but it's something that will be forgotten. But more importantly, Mike, why is Saudi Arabia deciding to stop funding when they've been funding losers nonstop for years? What happened?
Dave, I think it's also a success for the players, right? Because they get these enormous amounts of money that they wouldn't have made elsewhere. The PGA is like, you'll never come back and play golf with us again. And it's like, all right, here we are again. So are you going to have us or not? Right? And you just made $100 million, and now you're just going back to your regular job. It's like a win-win for everybody.
I mean, none of all that bluster was fake. Brooks Koepka is already back with the PGA, right, Chris? Like we're starting to see this, and all these golfers people have known about Chapter 11, but louder, happening with LIV Golf, and all these golfers have been trying to say the right things, but it's a badly kept secret that they're all going to make their way back to the PGA. I want to fixate on what David said, which is everyone assumed that the Saudis would just never run out of money, and the Saudi investment fund didn't actually care if it made a return. But the news yesterday was they already realized they made a bad investment in the Fanatics Tom Brady flag football venture. They are pulling the funding there reportedly, or at least considering that. Are other entities in sports and entertainment starting to get a little bit worried, especially when you consider the military operations in the Middle East? At some point, Saudi Arabia is going to look at these investments and realize that there isn't a return here. What are we doing this for? Is Nick Khan and the rest of the TKO board a little nervous?
It is straight panic time, Mikey. Here's why. Saudi Arabia never had a value proposal put in front of them that they didn't love. When you gave them an idea, Tom Brady, here's a thought. Fly everyone here. We're going to do a flag football game. It's going to be amazing. All you have to do is give everyone private jets. Make sure that everyone has a suite. I've got to get the presidential suite. We'll play a game. We'll take some photos. We'll put our arms around you, and then we'll leave. It's going to be great. Total cost, $300 million. Great. Sign it off. How amazing is it to have the ability to pitch an idea where the value of the pitch is meaningless because the person with the money does not care about the event? Saudi Arabia didn't care about LIV. They don't care about Tom Brady. They love the look of having events and being involved in sports. That was their value proposition because they thought that that was enough to tip the slight balance that was existing in their favor politically in Washington. And make no mistake, it's not about Trump versus Biden. Saudi Arabia tries to work with any president of the U.S. in order to maintain its status in the Middle East. But the reality is the Middle East has changed. The reality is what's going on in Saudi Arabia and around the Middle East has changed, and people no longer are wanting to even approach them about this value proposition that has no value. So they're saying, hey, if we're not going to get the love and we're not going to get the political benefits from it, then what the hell are we doing it for? And then they stop.
Dave, the one thing that they've had success with in investing in has been boxing. Like, it seems like they really enjoy that, and there has been some sort of return on investment. They're getting the best fighters, obviously paying them obscene amounts of money, but like they're getting return on boxing as a whole.
But they were hosting. There were events that were happening there, and I would argue that those days are going to be ending. I don't believe one of the issues with Tom Brady and the flag football is Saudi Arabia's like, wait a minute, you're not coming here? And Tom was like, well, I think there's like a war and bombs, and I go online and I see sort of airports on fire. I can't get my buddies. They're like, yeah, I appreciate the free trip, but nah, I'm not coming anymore. All right, how about LA? In. Saudi Arabia is losing sort of the flips of where the events are. So as soon as boxing sort of gets the epiphany that holding events on site is not wise, that'll be the end of their participation.
It should be noted, Nick Khan did say in a podcast interview yesterday that WrestleMania 43 is still slated to be in Saudi Arabia, but to David's overall point, Iran is openly threatening countries like Saudi Arabia directly.
Good, pull WrestleMania, come on.
They're going to, Zaz.
Good.
If the state of the war continues to be what it is today, and I'm sorry to admit, when is WrestleMania due to happen? What's the date?
Like a year from now.
A year from now, yeah.
Oh, God. Why would you pull it now? There's no reason to say anything other than, hey, we're on. Everything's good. keep those deposits being paid. We're good. But there is a clause in the contract, I promise. I haven't seen it, but no contract I've ever seen doesn't have a force majeure clause, which includes war. And so I would assume that there's no reason for Nick to say anything other than we're good to go, especially as they have a year.
Well,
forget it.
I don't assume you've looked at any of the contract language, but with Saudi rolling back investments, I assume they had contracts, fund to live to 2032. I'm sure they had an agreement that was longer than just the one event that happened in Carson City with the Tom Brady flag football venture. Is there a scenario where Saudi Arabia, which has made a substantial investment in WWE in particular, can they just up in one day say, you know what, we're out?
So every contract that you sign, you should focus on two parts of it, in my opinion. One, on what your comp is. What is my guaranteed cash flow here? And two are the termination clauses. Because you can be terminated for cause, which means I've done something wrong, therefore I'm not going to get paid. All right, what are the things that I've done wrong, and can I argue them? Did I do them wrong? And then there's termination without cause, which is the power that you give someone in a contract to just say, see you later, I've changed my mind because I don't like the way the sky looks today. Termination without cause is a very broad parameter because it can be anything, literally anything. It's with cause that's much different because you still get paid when you get terminated for cause. So all these contracts, Mike, have those clauses, the termination clauses, and I assume that Saudi Arabia looks at what their rights are to terminate and will exercise their full right not to have to pay more than is required under the contract.
David, I got a few baseball things for you here, but before I ask about those topics, the ABS, are you pleased with it? Does it feel like it has been integrated seamlessly? Is there anything that needs to be adjusted?
I'd like it to be permanent total ABS, actually. And I know the fans are loving it. I get it. It's fun. You're in the stadium, and all of a sudden you see the animation. The ball, it was a strike by 0.3 inches, greater than 0.3, less than 0.3, 1.7. Boo, you suck. You have the worst eye ever. That's fun. But I think once the technology gets to where there's no latency between the pitch and the umpire getting a tap of ball strike and then the umpire makes the call, I think you get rid of the challenges and you just have ABS call every pitch because we know the technology's there. We know the Players Union has agreed to let their players be measured, which is a very big deal that no one talked about. That was a right that the players had to make up their height that they no longer have. And so I would like to see the game times go back down because of the extra 4 or 5 minutes that's caused by these challenges. And I don't want players to get embarrassed, truthfully, by challenging a pitch in the second inning and being wrong by 2 inches and then screwing it up for their team, in the ninth inning. I would just like every pitch to be called correctly and quickly.
Yeah, so in that vein, have you seen strategical errors so far where, like when the NBA instituted their replay system, I'll never understand when a coach challenges an out-of-bounds play up 15 in the second quarter. Why would you do that? So I wonder, have you seen any strategical errors so far?
Yeah, we have a chart is what we would have done, and I did a chart sort of for this about how I would have worked with the GM to think about the strategy of challenges. And let me start with what is in bold. 2 outs, no one on in the first 6 innings, you're not challenging as the batter. Hard stop. If it's the final challenge that we have and it's 2 outs, no one on in the first 6, you're not allowed to challenge. That's it. And there's no exception to it. I don't care if the umpire missed it by 10 inches because the risk of losing the challenge in a spot that is not high leverage, I need to have one in my pocket for the end of the game. Second big rule in bold. If you're going to lose the last challenge in the last third of the game, and it's not the 9th inning, so the 7th or 8th, and you're wrong, you get 2 strikes as a player, catcher, pitcher, or batter, and then you lose the right to challenge. Because the main goal is to make sure that we've got one in our pocket in the 9th inning because we need it to either Look at the last play of the game, the last pitch of the game, the last batter of the game. Whatever the case is, I got to have one in my pocket. So I'm giving players 2 shots for a third, meaning the 7th and 8th and 9th inning. 2 chances. If you're wrong, you're out. We take away that privilege.
David, what's going on with Twins outfielder Jiren Duran? He made a gesture with a fan. He is claiming, I guess, that the fan told him to kill himself.
Well, the Red Sox. So this is the guy in the Red Sox. They were playing the Twins, and it was a Twins fan. This is the Red Sox player who, remember, he had mental health issues, and he got heckled in a way that was entirely inappropriate, and he reacted to it. Well, apparently it's continuing to happen, and it happened in Minnesota, and he gave that fan the finger as he was leaving the field. And on this morning's Nothing Personal, the query that I made to myself is, am I fining that player? What is my view of that? And my view is yes, I am fining that player because I know it hurts and I know it's inappropriate and I know fans should not be doing that. Unfortunately, fans say mean things. Our players have gotten mercilessly, racistly heckled in Boston and in Philadelphia. Juan Pierre would walk off the field telling me the things that were told to him. Mike Cameron would walk off the field and recite the things that were said to him. But you can't respond. You can't go into the stands. You can't make a gesture. You're just not allowed. And baseball just can't have it. So I think Duran has to get fined for that. And I would tell fans, you're pathetic. If that's what you're going to yell at a fan, at a player, because that's what gets you, turns you on, then you're simply a pathetic person.
I don't know whether or not I agree entirely on the finding, David, but I also haven't worked in that position, so I understand you really have to have a fine line there. But for fans, to take a player who was willing to be vulnerable about the state of his mental health in a sport that is full of so much failure, right? Like, these guys are going through it on a daily basis. And for someone to be vulnerable and put that out there to try to help relate to the fans that might be going through mental health battles themselves, for that to turn around and see a spike in people turning on him as opposing fans to yell things like kill yourself, it is unfathomable. It is pathetic behavior by those fans. And for Jiren Duran to have to go through that, it's such a disgrace for a sport whose fans often embrace the players, embrace the game, and understand that, like, these guys are human beings because they're one of the sports where there's not, they're not behind a helmet. And it's really, really disappointing. The heckling happens. Like, you mentioned it. I mean, we saw an incident last year at Fenway Park covering the Marlins where Dane Myers was heckled in a way that was, like, really, really, really inappropriate and over the line. And he turned and yelled some stuff at a fan. And all the power to him, in my view, so long as it never crosses the line. But when you have this guy in this situation going through this, it's just such a shame because it makes players want to reveal less of themselves to the fan, which is what the fan is always clamoring for.
Kevin Love had this happen too. He's been heckled. He obviously was out in front, and I don't know what your relationship is with Kevin Love and how it ended with the Heat, but
hates him.
No.
Okay.
I love Kevin Love.
So, Jeremy, you remember he obviously was the face for a while of mental health struggles and normalizing it, and it would be merciless, the heckling. And think about it, you have to just take it, and it's hard. But players, they have to take a lot. And one of the things that you try to teach players and talk to them about is the mental strength they need to handle what means to be a professional athlete. Look at the Japanese player yesterday, Imai. He's on the injured list with arm fatigue, and he said, listen, I can't deal with American baseball. I can't deal with the travel. I can't deal with the food and the way the schedule is. I can't adjust.
Really?
I'm going through translators. He's gone through 3 translators. He's on the injured list now with fatigue in April, and he just can't. There are thousands of players, more, who just can't handle it for whatever reason, what it is to be a professional athlete. And I get it. but that's life. Being mentally strong is one of the things you need to be a professional athlete, and you're going to get heckled, and it sucks. And they'll say things to you that are mean and wrong and nasty because they're so jealous and so miserable about their own lives or whatever the case is. They had a bad day. You cannot react. I'm sorry. I know that it sounds robotic and I'm taking their humanity away, or I'm giving power to the people and taking it away from the athletes. Well, I guess I am, because they've got the right to heckle and the players don't have the right to respond. That's just the rules of the game.
David, the Mets have lost 8 in a row. They suck, huh?
That's so good. Listen, I hate yucking on people's yums. Coca's a huge Mets fan.
Were they the team of your childhood?
No, the Knicks. It was the Knicks.
But for
Always
baseball?
the Knicks, just the Knicks. It was the Knicks. I liked the Yankees fine, but I was all about the Knicks. I was not a big baseball fan. Insert joke here. Growing up, I was all about the NBA, and I love the NBA. That love will never be replaced. But yeah, I love Steve Cohen taking the team and saying, hey, I'll lose hundreds of millions of dollars a year, but we're going to get a World Series in the first 5 years. Well, it's year 6, Stevie, and your team stinks. You got a bunch of retreads from the one GM who you waited to poach from the Milwaukee Brewers. You got him. And then you let him get cute because he thinks he's the smartest guy in the room, and you end up with Marcus frickin' Simeon. Good luck. Wait a minute, we'll get the retread from the White Sox. He needed a change of scenery, Robert Jr. Nope, he's just bad. Hey, we'll give Bichette $42 million. We're smarter than Toronto and Shapiro and Atkins. Oh, I guess we're not. So, listen, you get what you deserve if you're Steve Cohen. You're willing to write those checks, I guess. That's not going to last too much longer. The Mets they're in trouble.
You won pretty early as an executive. I mean, you weren't in Montreal for very long, and then I think it was your second year. You guys were with the Marlins, and you won the World Series. But did you ever say to yourself, being an executive of baseball, this is really cool, but man, I wish it was the NBA?
So I won in year 4, and I made it to about the semifinal round to become the president of the Knicks and Rangers. I interviewed for that during my Marlins career, but I never told anyone about it. And so I did think about it. I don't think about it anymore because I love doing my show and being with you guys, and I just have no interest after 18 years in going back. But yeah, you always – do I think that there is something to be said for what Paul DePodesta did? And you go from baseball, then you go to football, then back to baseball and try to rescue a franchise. There's a reason that Theo won a World Series in Boston and said, I want something else, and tried to win it in Chicago and then did, and then said, I want something else, and now wants to do whatever it is he wants to do in the commissioner's office, and now being a consultant on his way to maybe being commissioner. You always want to do it again. And you want to do it in different ways, in different places, in order to write more lines of your obituary. So I do understand why people have that feeling, for sure. It makes great sense to me.
David, give us a movie review. What do you watch recently?
Does anyone watch the chess movie, Queen of Chess? Does anyone play chess in this group?
I mean, I can play chess, yeah.
Do you play on the app? Do you play actually in the park, or is that just a dominoes thing?
No, I've never gone to the park
Miami?
and played. That does sound fun, though, but I've never done that, no.
Playing chess with a stranger in the park can be fun once you get past sort of the grossness of touching the pieces. But, yeah, there's a whole documentary called The Queen of Chess. I had no idea that the greatest woman grandmaster chess player was a Hungarian who had an athlete parent, the likes of which you've never seen. Basically, this woman's father bred her and her sisters to be chess champions.
How do you do that?
I mean, like, no school, no nothing, just chess from the time they were like 4 years old. That's all they did. And he didn't do it, like, nicely. He was Richard Williams type of stuff.
But why would you do that? Like, is there real money in chess?
No. Well, they're in Hungary. It's not great. So there is a chance if you're a grandmaster that you can travel the world and be a champion chess player. It's about the odds of being a champion tennis player. It's not that good. But this woman made it, and she kicked ass. Like, she had matches against Kasparov. She was the youngest woman grandmaster ever, and she stayed a champion for decades and then burnt out because it's all she did. And there's a whole documentary because there's video. like of what this father did to his daughters. And listen, I'm against involved parents like that. And watching that video of LaVar Ball and the way he is, I'm out. I've seen kids succumb to the pressure of parents wanting their kids to live a life that they could never live because they weren't smart enough or athletic enough. And I just think it sucks for parents to do that. And this is the worst example ever of an involved parent. And man, I've seen some crap in my time. But watch this documentary to see a nut job. But she became a grandmaster at 12, which is weird, but amazing.
Nothing personal with David Samson. Weekdays, DraftKings Network. Excellent job, David. Good seeing you.
Thank you, guys. Have a great day.
Anyone else here play chess? I can play chess. Anyone else?
I know what all the pieces do, but I don't like.
You don't know what all the pieces do.
Bishop to rook 9. Right?
You do not know what all the pieces do.
You want to bet?
I do.
This is a terrible game to
do
play.
it. Go.
Do we have a chessboard here? We might.
No, just explain it out loud.
Do I need to name the pieces?
Yep.
You just said you know
what
all
they
the
do.
pieces.
End pieces go straight or left, like they don't go diagonal.
They're
rooks,
called
the
rook.
rooks.
Okay.
They can go as far as they want in any direction, but not diagonal.
Okay. What about the knight? What does the knight do?
The knight is the horse, right?
Yep.
That's the L shape. 3 up, 1, and then you can go any side. That goes a little L.
Now, is the rook blocked by anyone, or can it do whatever it wants?
The only thing that can jump over pieces is the knight, the horse.
Good. Okay.
Everything else has to have a clear shot.
What does the pawn do?
The pawn can, at the first move, go 2 spaces or 1.
That's
But then after that, can only go 1.
What
Can't go
direction can it
backwards.
move, though?
Just straight.
Unless?
Huh?
Unless?
Unless it's killing someone and it goes diagonal.
There you go. Okay, don't get scared.
That's what I'm saying. And then
Play
there's
with your chest out.
And then there's the only one the bishop, I believe it's called, the diagonal thing. It's like the same as the rook, but instead the opposite. It can only go diagonal as much as it wants.
This guy's good.
And then the queen can go in any direction, as many spaces as it wants, and the king can go any direction but 1 space.
All
right, you
got
win.
that, Tony?
It sounds like you know what you're doing then.
I don't know any strategy, though. Like, there's, opening moves.
The
and,
strategy is to get the king on the other team.
Yeah, but there are, strategies of, I open this way. And
Bishop
I do
to
this
rook
move.
9 and I win.
Yeah, I don't know any of that.
Anyone else plays? Anyone else?
Claire is learning how to play chess right now at 8 years old.
So you're that dad.
Maybe she'll be a grandmaster.
That was not my choice.
Can anyone now? Do you think, Chris, that you'd be able to beat Claire?
It would be a good game, probably. But yes, no, I would destroy Claire.
Whoa! She's a kid. I mean, come on.
You asked. Let's set this up. I'm in on this. Tomorrow, just P&P.
Huge showdown. Let's get some graphics made.
We should, because then it also boils down to how long would it take you apparently to kill Claire?
It's gonna knock off El Caballo, El Diablo versus Tony on the matchup shirt.
That's right. No one else? Chess? Jeremy, you look like a chess guy.
What does that mean?
It means whatever you want it to mean.
I'll take it as a compliment.
Okay.
Yeah, I've played chess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know all the things that Chris knows. I don't know anything about the strategy. I just know where things can move. I know enough to play and lose.
So the bishop looks like a knight, but the horse is the knight, but it's not the knight.
I didn't know that the pawn can move twice in the first move.
Yeah, you can go 2.
All right, so just to clarify, Tony, you don't play chess.
Pawn panipple.
What is that supposed to mean?
Shipwrecking storms and direful thunders break. So from that spring whence comfort seemed to come.
Wait a minute. There wasn't a question mark there.
Discomfort swells. Mark, King of Scotland. Mark, no sooner justice had with valor armed.
Oh, you think you're done?
Humbled! These skipping...
Compelled.
These skipping kerns to trust their heels.
Not compelled. We need compelling.
But the Norwegian lord surveying vantage.
Which is it?
Furbished arms.
Vintage or vantage?
And new supplies of men.
All right,
begin a fresh assault.
We've tested his endurance.
Not this. Our captains, Macbeth and Banquo?
And scene.
You almost made it to the finish line. You started leaking confidence. It was not unlike the race outside in Freedom. You were very confident for a moment, and then you fell at the finish line. But
Showed his long track.
Excellent, Chris. Excellent.
Vintage vantage.
Long white crowd.
Coppled, compelled.
Ah. Mike goes to Vegas, gets drunk, and Roy has to finish his hockey segment.
my grind has landed in Vegas. God knows what time it is right there. God knows if he's.
Stanley Cup playoffs begin this weekend. Tonight is the final night of the regular season. No Florida Panthers in the Stanley Cup playoffs this year. Very, very sad. Before we bring on Sean McDonough, NHL on ESPN, the voice of the NHL on ESPN, we are all huge fans of Sean McDonough, who I have told before, we will tell him again, just absolutely nailed the final call, Game 7 of the 2024 Stanley Cup Final, which will live in our hearts forever, as he was on the call here of the Florida Panthers winning their first ever Stanley Cup.
20 seconds to go. One last gasp for Edmonton. Bouchard's pass didn't click with Draisaitl. 12 seconds to go. Florida trying to end it up against the wall, which would be fitting. 3 seconds to go. The Florida Panthers have won the Stanley Cup.
Oh, my God. It's so
Goosies.
good. Oh, it's so good. Let's bring aboard Sean McDonough here. Like I said, Sean, I'm going to tell you every opportunity I have to talk to you. It is such an incredible call. I think all Panther fans are grateful for how you absolutely nailed the final call of the Florida Panthers winning their first ever Stanley Cup. It's good to see you. The run is over, of course, for the Panthers, for now at least. Does the Panther fan, can you give the Panther fan some advice maybe on who they should root for then instead this postseason?
I don't know. Can you root for the other Florida team? I mean,
No,
whoa.
No, what are you talking about? No,
That's
no,
crazy.
no, get out of here.
I figured I'd start with a stupid question. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, there's so many great causes, right? I mean, who wouldn't be rooting for Buffalo if you were neutral? 14 years in a row outside the playoffs. What a year they've had. That building's going to be electric when we start the playoffs this weekend. So I think if you're looking for a team to cheer for, that would be a good bandwagon to jump on.
The Panthers, of course, are not an historic sports franchise. That building, Amerant Bank Arena, it's not an historic sports building. But where does that moment, how high does that moment rank for you, the finale of that series, that whole scene, 3-0, gets forced to Game 7? Where does that rank for you, that moment?
Yeah, really high. I mean, as you said, right, at Game 7, that's what we all dream about when we get into this business. And when ESPN was nice enough to offer me the opportunity to do the NHL on ESPN and ABC and be the lead voice and do a Stanley Cup final every other year, that's exactly what you hope for. And as you said, John, I mean, to have the drama build, maybe it was 3-0, we thought, wow, this is kind of going to be one of the duds of all time as a Stanley Cup final. And then to have there be a Game 7, you know, for me, it was nice to have another opportunity because earlier in that series, I was, especially the games at Edmonton, I was really sick and fighting through not having much of a voice. So to be able to finish like that, the clip you just played, was wonderful for me too, because you know the early part of that series was kind of personally disappointing, to be honest.
Like I said, you absolutely nailed the final call there. I'm so grateful for a Panther fan, because as a Panther fan, because I just love hearing that final call. But going into a Game 7, like that night they're going to crown a Stanley Cup champion. So do you think at all when you're in a scenario like that? Okay, like I want to make sure, I want to have at least some kind of thought in my head how I will call the final play because it's happening tonight.
It's a great question. It's, I think, something that gets debated a lot among those of us who do play-by-play for a living. I am on a group text chat. I call it SU group. It's all we annoying Syracuse broadcasters who have gone out into the wilderness here to call games. Guys like Mike Tirico and Ian Eagle and Bill Roth and a bunch of, there's about 20 of us, Dave Pash. And so I put it out that day. If you were me about to do game 7, would you kind of think about, I don't want to say script, but kind of have it in your head what you want to say when this ends one way or the other, or would you just go with the moment? And my inclination has always been to just go with the moment, because I think things that are scripted sound scripted. But there was a lot to think about, as you know, because this was going to be the crowning achievement for Paul Maurice, right? This was going to be, coaching lifer, one of the winningest coaches of all time. And now he has the Stanley Cup, and now he's definitely a Hall of Famer now. And now, it could have been he presides over the biggest collapse in, the history of the NHL Finals, Stanley Cup Finals. So, you had to think about that. You had to think about McDavid and Draisaitl, and what does this mean for their careers and their legacy? Can you be considered one of the great players of all time if you never won the Stanley Cup? I think you can be, because I think Connor McDavid is. I don't know who would argue that. It's unfortunate his team hasn't won the whole thing yet. Maybe this will be the year. So, there's a lot to think about as you go into a game 7 like that. But to give a long-winded answer to your question, I didn't specifically script it. And I just think, what I said, I'm glad you think the call was good, because, to me, punctuate the moment and then get out of the way. I said what I said, and then there were a lot of great shots from our great crew and great audio. And, the best thing to do then is not say anything.
You mentioned you have a Syracuse broadcaster chat, but is there like one broadcaster, a mentor type that you would go to first above anyone else for advice?
Not really. And some of the people who I talk to about stuff like this aren't necessarily Syracuse people. Joe Buck's become a great friend. I have the utmost respect for Mike Breen, who does our NBA. I think he's one of the best play-by-play guys there is. Kevin Harlan's been a friend since we interned together at Enterprise Radio. We were in college back when dinosaurs roamed the earth. But, on that chat, I have the utmost respect for Mike Tirico. Matter of fact, I was texting him the day of the Super Bowl, just sending him some reminders about, just do what you've always done and, kind of don't get in the way. I thought he did a fantastic job in the Super Bowl with a game that wasn't that great, to be honest. So all those guys on there. Dave Pash is, to me, one of the best play-by-play guys in America. I used to get the label a lot. Oh, he's the most underrated play-by-play person, or he's chronically underrated, and that's fine. It's better than being overrated. But to me, if I've handed that mantle off to somebody, it's probably Dave Pash. I think he is a play-by-play guy's play-by-play person.
It's an art, right, Sean, to be able to lay out, to know when to let the moment breathe in a big spot?
Yeah, I think it should be standard procedure, really, especially in this day and age with video and audio as good as it is, and with the camera work and the producing and directing as great as it is. There's nothing we can say that's better than those live pictures. There's nothing I can say over Paul Maurice getting hugged by everybody and having the moment he had when, he realized he just won the Stanley Cup. That's going to be better than that picture. And I think the temptation is to, say the scripted thing, say the thing that's going to be a part of the moment forever. You just played the call. I have some words that are attached to it forever in your mind, and that means more to me than anything. But it doesn't mean you have to keep talking, right? So I think I do it all the time. I think Vin Scully was the first person. I think I read an article that when it was Hank Aaron, when he became the all-time home run champ, Vin Scully called the moment, and then he literally stood up and walked away from the microphone. I've never done that, but I think we should lay out for as long as we possibly can. Sometimes, we have to jump back in because we're going to an interview or the producer's telling us to throw it to somebody, but I try to lay out for as long as we can in moments like that.
Have we seen Alexander Ovechkin play his final game?
I kind of thought so, and then I was very encouraged by what he said the other night. I don't remember the exact quote, but I think he said, "I hope it isn't my last game." So if that's the case and his preference is to keep playing, then I do think it'll just be a matter of, he's going to take a little time to see how he feels physically. Obviously he can still play. It was another 30-plus goal season. He's not who he was, but he's still better than most. And so I hope it's not the end, and I'm encouraged by what he said, that it sounds like if he's physically up for it, he wants to do it.
His biggest rival, I think everyone would agree, Sidney Crosby. Is Crosby and what maybe he could accomplish this postseason the best story going into these playoffs?
It's one of them. When you were asking me at the beginning about, if you're a Panther fan, you don't have a team this year, you're another team that's not in the playoffs, who should you cheer for? That would be a good one, too. I mean, they're one of the great stories. I'm a voter for the Coach of the Year, the Jack Adams Award. The Broadcasters Association does the voting for that. And, Dan Muse is certainly somebody all of us have to consider for what he's done, especially following a great coach like Mike Sullivan. But I think most of us thought that was still kind of on the way down. It was going to be kind of unfortunate that as Crosby and Malkin and Letang play what might be their last season or close to their last season, it might be a continued downward trend. And then, not only do they make the playoffs, but they're going to have home ice in the first round. And what's going to be a great series, our group is going to Pittsburgh for the game Saturday night. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that yet, but I just did.
Did.
Yeah, sorry. Really super excited about that. But anytime you get a chance to watch Sid the Kid, and it's been a resurgent year for Malkin. It's been a resurgent year for Erik Karlsson. They're one of the great stories in the NHL, and I think if they get good goaltending, they could do some damage beyond the first round.
Are you hoping to, since they've been out of the postseason for so long, are you hoping at some point you'll get to call a game in Buffalo? Because I would imagine that building is going to be absolutely rocking. And what has been the best building over the last few years?
Well, I haven't even been there because obviously until this year, ESPN, TNT, none of us have really shown a lot of Buffalo games. But I used to go to the old Odd. I grew up here in Boston, a big Bruins fan. When I went to Syracuse, a lot of kids from Central and Western New York were Buffalo Sabre fans. We would drive out and go to Sabre games, back kind of in their heyday, back at the old Odd. So, I'm thrilled to be going to Pittsburgh. I think the other option for our group was probably going to be Buffalo, and if we had gone there, that'd be great too. I do hope we get there at some point. That's going to be a great series. I mean, Boston and Buffalo, like the old Adams Division days. So I remember some really spirited games when I was a kid. So, that's going to be great in both venues because Boston is one of the liveliest venues in the league too.
I want to ask you about Connor McDavid, that Stanley Cup final in 2024. I think everybody would have said, all right, McDavid's eventually going to win one, okay? And then he gets back the next year, and the Panthers win again. And is it a crazy question now to continue asking, is he ever going to win?
No, I don't think it's crazy. There are great players who have never won it. You wonder, it looks like they're doing the same thing, doesn't it? They kind of go through the regular season. You spend most of the regular season asking what's wrong, and then they kind of get it together at the end. And then, as we know, they've wound up in the Stanley Cup final. So, I don't think it's a crazy question to ask. These windows don't open forever. And, as I said before, I don't think he needs to win a Stanley Cup to have his legacy be one of the great players of all time. I think he already is. I don't even know how you could debate that. Just watch him play and just look at, the resume that he's posted, and again this year, leading the league in points. So, it wouldn't surprise me given the recent history if they wound up in the Stanley Cup final again, although the West is pretty strong at the top. I think most people think Colorado's the favorite to win the whole thing coming in, but as we've seen, the favorite doesn't always win.
The Panthers being out of the postseason this year, they've done a real good job of playing the villain role the last couple years. The hockey fan loves to point at the Panthers, what they get away with, the way that they play, the style. Kachuk, of course, he's the poster boy. Is there a villain this year? Who's going to take on that role now?
Wow, that's a great question. I don't think anything like what you described. And I never really felt like Florida was villainous. I admire the way they play because
we do too.
Yeah, we said it a lot the previous 3 years. You have to pay a price every night to go out and play the way they did, that physically, that much attention to defense in every zone. It's a real sacrifice. So I think a lot of people aren't surprised that, especially after all those extra games the last 3 years, that this year didn't go so well. It was probably just a matter of time, especially losing Barkov before the season even started. To me, that was kind of an omen of what was to come. But have great appreciation for them. I don't know. I mean, I'd have to think about that. Do you think there's a villain? I mean, I'm trying to peruse the 16 teams in the playoffs in my head, and don't think anybody quite matches up.
I mean, like, I want to say the Lightning, but that's because we really don't like the Lightning down here. I mean, Mike, do you have a suggestion there?
I mean, taking the rivalries out of it does kind of nuke the concept. Maybe Sidney Crosby's at a different point in his career now where people are like, well, we want to see if the old guy's got another run in him, and now he kind of becomes lovable underdog because he kind of is in the scope of the Eastern Conference. But
I mean, if Ottawa wins a playoff series, can they just hate that Tkachuk instead of Matthew Tkachuk? Like, could it be Ottawa then?
Yeah, he's a candidate. They're a candidate. You know, they play that kind of scrappy, gritty style. Don't know if that many people are really that familiar with them. They deserve a lot of credit. You know, there were so many teams down the stretch that did a great job to make the playoffs, and Ottawa probably hasn't gotten enough attention for what they did to get there. And I do think they're dangerous. You know, you saw that with your Panthers. What was that, 3 years ago? The year the Bruins set the record for the most wins and the most points, and Florida barely made it into the playoffs, and then wound up going all the way to the Stanley Cup Finals. So they're a dangerous team. But yeah, Tampa Bay, I'm sorry to say this to you guys, but I think you have to give them a lot of credit. I mean, they had as many injuries, maybe more injuries than any. I think the last time I saw, they had lost 336 man games to injury, a lot of them to key players. You know, we talked about the Coach of the Year thing. I think John Cooper's another guy who merits consideration, even though I know you're going to hate that notion.
Yeah, that guy stinks.
Yeah, I hope you will not be giving a final call of the Tampa Bay Lightning winning the Stanley Cup.
I just Googled.
Yeah,
Nobody
I
was
just
more
think,
hurt than us.
I wonder, my concern for them, we just had them last Saturday here in Boston against the Bruins, and they kind of had a gritty come from behind win in the third period. And I give them credit because at the time I thought they would not have home ice in the first round against Montreal, and Montreal would. Then they've had a good week to secure home ice. That's going to be an unbelievable series. These 2 versus 3 matchups, I think, are going to be particularly compelling. But I just wonder if Tampa is too beat up. You know, it doesn't sound like Hedman's coming back. That we may be wrong, but that was sort of the vibe we got last Saturday. Emily Kaplan had some great reporting on that. So we'll see. But I think he's, you know, sorry to say this again, but I think not only is he one of the best coaches right now, for sure, you can't argue that. I think Coop is he's one of the best coaches of all time.
Finally here for Sean McDonough.
Are you going to hang up on me now?
No,
actually,
I
yes.
want to.
Actually, yes.
No, we love him.
All those nice things you said at the beginning are going right out the window.
I remain skeptical.
Finally, for the lead voice of the NHL on ESPN, Sean McDonough. Is that the biggest selling point of the Stanley Cup playoffs for someone maybe in our audience who is not a huge hockey fan? Just the fact that you bring up the Panthers and what they did to Boston 3 years ago. Just on any night, you have no idea what's going to happen. The 8 can beat the 1. Like you can have anyone beat anyone in the Stanley Cup playoff.
Yes, I think that's a big part of it. And I just think the speed, the intensity, the physical toll that these guys take, we just talked about it, particularly as it pertains to Florida the last few years. I mean, they're playing basically every other night at very high speed, running into each other at very high speed with some pretty serious collisions over and over again. So, yeah, I have tremendous respect for the physical toll that it takes, in addition just to the emotional grind and the mental toll, the pressure they're playing under. But the game's never been faster. It's never been better. There's a reason why. I just read an article this morning. TNT's ratings are the highest they've ever been. I know our ratings have been great. Obviously, the Olympic hockey was a huge hit. So I think the game is continuing to grow in fan interest because when people are exposed to it, they stick around.
Great job, Sean. Always good talking to you. Enjoy the postseason.
Thanks for having me. Good to see you guys. We'll see the Cats in the playoffs next year.
Okay,
that's
you brought
right.
it back.
Yeah,
Right.
now
Thank
we
you,
like
Sean.
him again. Yeah. Sean McDonough, NHL on ESPN. I used to do that every year, okay, when I was still hosting in local radio on 790 The Ticket, and the playoffs would roll around, and the Panthers were never in it. And
So you weren't watching the NHL playoffs, according to Dan.
I don't understand why Dan did that. It's really one of the weirder things Dan has done. to
Zaz,
me.
you know what I just found out? They don't do 1 through 8 in the NHL.
They stopped that a few years ago.
What's that about?
That's dumb.
I think was the reason, Roy, because they wanted to emphasize divisional rivalries.
Yeah, I mean, keep in mind that the league used to do a divisional playoff format before the 90s. They switched to 1 through 8, and then they switched.
Nobody was alive back then.
Yeah, well, yeah, of course. But, yeah, I mean, you get matchups like the Kings and the Oilers 4 years in a row with the Oilers beating them 4 years in a row. I mean, like, it becomes stale.
Yeah,
it's just absurd that the Penguins and the Flyers, the worst and second worst teams in this Eastern Conference, are going to battle it out for an opportunity to advance to the second round.
Yeah.
That's not how that goes.
Yeah.
It's not fair. That's weird, right?
So I used to tell everybody when I was hosting locally here, going into the postseason, I'm like, if you're a fan of sport, a fan of competition, and you're not watching the Stanley Cup playoffs, like what are you doing?
You're Jonathan Zaslow.
No.
Before the Panthers got good.
Just looked right at me. Said, Zaz is not going to be watching. Why would you say that? I would say it every year going into the postseason, and then and no one would believe me. All right. But then, like finally, 3 years ago, although this ends a streak of the Panthers making the postseason 5 consecutive years. So really we can go back to 21 when the Panthers lost that first round series to Tampa, which even though the Panthers lost, it was kind of like, oh, the Panthers might have something here because this is the greatest first round series you've ever seen in your life. And that year was like, oh, Zaslow's right. Like, I had to watch it out because our local team was in, but the Stanley Cup playoffs are unbelievable. So, I think I'm going to check it out this year.
Yeah, check
Let
it
Dan
out.
know.
Yeah,
Give it a shot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
give it a go. Yeah.
Let Dan know. Mike, you were all upset yesterday on the Pat McAfee show. Dana White was there,
yes,
right?
That's right, Chris. Dana White.
Was he promoting was he there specifically to promote UFC Freedom 250? Is that what we're doing?
Yeah, he's
when is it? It's like in 2 months, right?
June 14th.
We'll get into that momentarily. Here's the clip from Dana White on the Pat McAfee show, and yeah, I've got thoughts here. Dana White here is talking about UFC 250, which is emanating from the White House.
We're paying the entire bill on all of this. Everything that you're seeing, not $1 of taxpayer money will go into this. And this is the UFC's gift to the 250th birthday of America. And I think one of the myths that I would like to crush is I don't care if you're far right, far left, right down the middle, wherever you sit politically, because everybody sits somewhere politically these days. This isn't about politics. This is about the United States, what this country is about, how it was built, where we all came from. If you love America, you're going to love this event. It has nothing to do with politics. We just happen to be in the White House lawn, and the President of the United States will be there.
just happen to be there. People are so political these days. Like, all right, so this is Freedom 250, this UFC event. It's a gift to America.
Why does he say it's a gift to America? We're doing it because of America, and we just so happen to be.
Yeah.
Those two can't be true.
What date is this?
June 14th. It's a Sunday.
The gift to America should be on America's birthday, but whose birthday is this? Yeah. Come on, Tony, you're right there.
I don't know whose.
It's Donald Trump's birthday. This is a Donald Trump
happy birthday to
birthday celebration.
How did I not know that?
And also earlier on the very same Pat McAfee show, Dana White brought out Democratic governor of Pennsylvania, Governor Shapiro, was there to announce that the UFC is going to be running an event in Philadelphia.
Okay.
So this gaslighting hypocrite wants to now use people on the left to kind of normalize his behavior over the last few years. Where do people get the idea I'm so political? I don't know. Is it because you speak at the Republican National Convention? Oh, you're not there in a political capacity. What about the other appearances on the Pat McAfee show where you were openly campaigning for Donald Trump and attacking Democrats? Why do Democrats not feel comfortable at your events? You need to go over there with your tail between your legs to Governor Shapiro so someone can normalize you as this now non-political, this apolitical commissioner of a sport. This is so pathetic. I honestly watched that clip and I was laughing at how lazy and how unrealistic this whole feeble attempt is from the UFC and TKO to make Dana White some non-MAGA Republican. It's so pathetic. And it has me thinking those numbers that he is looking at in his office and the messaging that he is getting from on high have to be so bad, has to be so embarrassing for him to suffer that indignity and act poorly, I might add, as some apolitical figure that is just barely touching politics this entire time. What a joke. I hope you have to keep doing that. I hope you have to keep embarrassing yourself, pretending you are something that you are not for the remainder of your contracts, for the remainder of whatever tenure you have over there. You loser. You came off like such a dork.
I mean, he must have been told you need to kind of level things out a little bit.
This guy goes at the media, calls everybody snowflakes anytime any of his fighters say things that are obviously homophobic and or racist, telling everybody, no, they have the right to do this. The same guy who, by the way, back in the day used to back up the trans community just goes wherever the wind blows. Yeah. Well, the wind's now blowing against you, pal. You get to stay over there. I understand when this whole administration ends, we're going to have to make it work with people. You can't completely ostracize everybody. Society has to move forward. But guess what? Dana White, you stay over there.
So the big story this past weekend, I was at UFC 6026.
327.
And Carlos Ulberg won the light heavyweight championship belt in the main event. It was a shocker. Tony, did you see that he lost the belt?
I did. Somebody in Miami has the official UFC light heavyweight championship belt. We don't know where it is.
Awesome,
we don't know when it's going to come to the surface.
Can you imagine? Just
Somebody
tell your friends,
somewhere has it.
Come over, I got the belt.
I got the belt. Carlos Ulberg gave it to me in Wynwood. He said he wasn't going to go out for a drink. Somebody gave him champagne in the back of the Kaseya Center, and then all of a sudden one thing led to another. We've been drinking all night, and the belt is gone.
Just straight up lost the
I have
belt.
no idea where it is.
Like, how embarrassing is that? I imagine you make the call to Dana, right?
You don't make the call to Dana. I think you make the call to somebody else to, like, start working. Hey, can you get me another belt somewhere?
But you don't want to live with that. Like, you got to cop to it so you don't have to think about it anymore, right? You have to make the call to Dana. Like you don't want to sit with that. I remember one time when my firstborn, like sometimes you want to get it off your chest. You can't wait for how mad they're going to be, right? And my son, my first son, he was like 1.5 years old, and I kind of like dropped him. And
from how high?
Well, it's not he wasn't an infant. Okay, he was like 1.5. So like dropped him, like he banged his face or something.
You can take it.
And he got black eye.
Can't
and
hide
I was so worried about what my wife was going to say. Very similar to Carlos Ulberg losing the belt. What's Dana White going to say?
She might take away the tablet.
I was very worried what my wife was going to say. I took my son and I drove to her work to show her. Because I couldn't handle waiting for her to come home in like 5 hours, 6 hours. What's she gonna say? How mad is she gonna be? It's like, I gotta show her.
So you thought driving to her place of work while she's taking care of things that she needs to take care of, not thinking about the family.
No, it's about me. I had to know.
You drove over there to show her, like kind of like
Look
Lion
at him.
King.
Look at what I did.
Lion King, your son, who's very knowledgeable at MMA, by the way.
Yeah.
Very impressed by that.
Yeah.
Lion King, your son, to her in the middle of her workplace.
Look at what I did.
And then take him home.
Yeah. I had to. I couldn't let it sit with me any longer. I had to know how mad she was going to be.
How mad was she?
She wasn't mad. It was okay. Wasn't that bad, I guess. She wasn't mad. We all make mistakes.
So does Carlos Ulberg.
We all make
who
mistakes.
Also hasn't gone to the hospital yet.
He hasn't even gone to the hospital yet. He tore his ACL. This is Saturday night, okay? This account of the events is probably yesterday. So we're talking, 4 days later, you tear your ACL, we think, hasn't even been to the hospital yet.
It's a warrior.
Very responsible.
Probably waiting to go to New Zealand to like do his stuff or fly out to the what's it called, the Performance Institute in Vegas.
Very, very responsible. So I don't know if you guys saw this. All right, do you know Ernie Johnson and Charles Barkley?
Yeah, I know those guys.
They're on Inside the NBA.
What'd they say?
Well, some people, that's my gimmick. Some people, they may know Ernie and Charles from their podcast called The Steam Room. And so on The Steam Room a few days ago, they had a guest who we know. He's called Dusty May. He's a head coach at Michigan, just won a national championship. We had him on our show last week. Now, I'm gonna let you listen to this, and I want you to pay specific attention to the question that Charles Barkley asks Dusty May because you may have heard this question somewhere else.
My question is, you had the best team. Did you enjoy this ride as much as you did when you were the underdog at FAU?
That the underdog role was so new to all of us. We were just in the moment.
So, again, I want to have a think on it for a second real quick.
I don't have to think.
Have a think on it real quick.
Not at all.
I'm going to play it for you again, all right? Because maybe you're stunned. You're so stunned that you heard a similar question recently right here. Here is Charles Barkley.
My question is, you had the best team. Did you enjoy this ride as much as you did when you were the underdog at FAU?
That the underdog role was so new to all of us.
Very interesting. That sounds very, very
Sounds
similar.
like a good question.
It sounds strikingly similar to a question that was asked here. Coach, did the winning feel better than losing in the Final Four with FAU?
Both of you guys said FAU.
Very, very interesting.
Wait.
One of those people asked that question the right way.
Are you running a bit?
What do you mean am I running a bit?
Are you running a bit?
What do you mean I'm running a
Do you
bit?
think that those two questions were asked similarly?
He asked Dusty May, and mind you, I did not ask my question properly. All right?
Yeah, that's a
I'm
big
not
piece of
proud
this.
of my question.
The words are important in a question.
I should have asked that question with different words.
I want to do this back to back. I'm going to play the Zaz question and then video right after it's done. Let's hear the Barkley one. Let's hear him back to back here.
Coach, did the winning feel better than losing in the Final Four with FAU?
My question is, you had the best team. Did you enjoy this ride as much as you did when you were the underdog at FAU?
That the underdog role.
Charles
did it
just
better.
asked Dusty
So much better.
if he enjoyed winning the Final Four more than losing.
That's
not what he asked.
But saying the ride,
that's
like
not
that
even-
clarifies what he means.
Yeah,
Then results the ride.
That's not even what he asked. He asked, was it as fun?
What? So wouldn't
It was a
winning be
different
more fun
question
than
entirely.
losing?
I
Did you
cannot believe how off
enjoy-
base you are here.
Did you enjoy winning more than you enjoyed losing?
And he said, did you enjoy the ride?
Did you
versus,
enjoy the same?
did you, hey, you had the best team, implying the pressure was different. Did you enjoy the ride the same way you did when you made a run to the Final Four? Not when you lost in the Final Four.
Let me ask you something. So you have two different rides. One ride you go on, you had a great time, fun roller coaster. The other ride you go on, you puked at the end of it, made you sick. Which one did you enjoy more? That's a stupid question, right? You enjoy the one that you didn't puke.
Yeah, but you could have that same exact thing, right? You can have a roller coaster. You go on the ride. The first time you go on it, you get a little dizzy, you get a little sick afterward. The second time you go on it, it goes great.
Why would I go
But
on it again?
Why do I need an analogy?
Hold on
They're
a
not
second.
the same
Why did
question.
I go on again? I'm
just
dizzy.
Give me a second. Just give me a second. So, if you ask, hey, how did you enjoy the ride while you were on it? Versus, how did you enjoy the time where you didn't throw up versus the time where you did throw up? My answer to you is going to be different.
These are the same
It's about the same topic.
These are the same questions.
Not about the same question. It's
These are
not
the same
you,
questions.
you got to frame things right.
These are the same questions.
Words are important.
Are you running a bit, Mike?
I think you're running a bit.
I think you're running a bit.
I'm not running a bit.
How can someone hear that and not understand?
I'm not running a bit.
It's the same question.
You're a bit runner.
Whoa.
Whoa!
Don't ever call me a bit runner. This is 1,000% authentic right here. No bit.
You saw that and you thought you were off the hook?
Dude, you got mogged so hard.
Okay, I don't know what that means.
You got question mogged.
Yeah.
I heard that.
Question mogged, and he was word maxing.
You guys should have heard the discussion at my dinner table last night.
About Clav?
Yeah.
Can I have extra tablet time tonight?
What's his name? Caligula?
Close. Clavicular.
It's close. You should have heard this conversation at the dinner table last night because I then had to explain who this person is to my wife. She doesn't have a clue. Like, my wife doesn't do she has no social media. She's like a social media, I don't even know, like, just an alien. She has no idea about
Wemby?
She has no social media. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, MySpace. She has none of it.
Good for you.
She has. It is good. Yes,
Good for you.
She.
I said good for you.
Because she doesn't see the
She
stuff
doesn't
that
know
I
about
do.
that
She
algo.
never
Checks in on Foursquare.
She doesn't see the stuff that I like. I mean, you should see some of the stuff I like on Instagram.
Yeah, she should know about your algo.
All right.
Hey.
Well, when she takes a tablet back from you, she probably does a little check-in.
I got
see.
called out yesterday by someone else about some things I like, but nonetheless, that's neither here nor there. She
I
doesn't.
gotta know more about that.
She doesn't have any social media. So I got to explain to her, and she's like, pointing at my son, both of them. Do you know who this person is? Clavicular. And both my boys like, yeah, we know. And then, so I'm explaining. I have to explain to my wife, I guess, what an incel is. All right, that's what he is. He's an incel, right? I'm just learning about this person.
I don't know. I don't know if he's an incel or if he's something
He's
else.
incel adjacent because he uses incel community lingo.
Yeah.
That he took offense to that, and that's why he eventually walked out of the 60 Minutes interview in Australia.
So I'm trying to explain this to my wife, and then both my boys are, really my younger one, is using the language, mogging. I still don't know what that means. And my wife and I, we're very confused here. So I'm trying to explain to her, and my older son is laughing, and my wife's getting angry now. She's getting angry because why does this person exist? Like what is happening?
Maxing.
I'm like,
you got to record that convo, man.
and I'm like, this is this generation. This is what they do, And so she was upset that our boys she's like, please don't follow. Oh, because then my younger one explained to her about the jaw.
Oh yeah, how he took a hammer to his jaw
Yeah.
to sharpen his features.
Yeah, my son is
allegedly.
describing
feature
it,
maxing.
and so my wife is horrified with this description of chiseling your jaw.
Terror maxing.
What is that shit? So stupid.
Your kids like him, or do they think he's a dork?
They think it's stupid.
Yeah, but they find it funny.
Yeah, they think
All
it's
right,
funny.
so I guess it could be way worse. They could look up to him. He says he's turned over a new leaf, that he's not going to do crystal meth anymore.
That's the definition of turning over a new leaf.
He said a whole bunch of stuff that will be untrue in a couple of weeks. But I guess, as David Samson famously says, wait to see.
All right. I'm telling you, man. What I got called out on yesterday on my social, that's explaining.
Not good?
I mean, whatever. I'm in control of my own situation, so it is what it is.
Yeah. You're the man of the house.
I am.
Yeah, you take that tablet whenever you want.
Watch whatever I want on it.
Your
No one tells
boob-like
me.
maxing?
No one tells me what to watch. Do whatever I want. Wear whatever I
Grown-ass
want.
man.
Grown-ass man.
Folks, the NBA playoffs are here, and DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA, is boosting every game day, all postseason long. Playoff stars turn it up round by round, and DraftKings turns it up too, with profit boosts available every game day for the first round through the finals. New sportsbook customers bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code DAN. That's code DAN. To turn $5 into $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours.